Now, the most watched news in the Panhandle. News Channel 10's Weekend Edition.
Thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Madison Allowell. Thomas Michael Dixon is headed back to court. Dixon's second capital murder trial begins at 9 in the morning in Lubbock. Dixon is accused of hiring a hitman, David Shepard, to kill Lubbock doctor Joseph Saunier in July of 2012, who was allegedly dating Dixon's ex-girlfriend. Shepard confessed to the crime and is serving a life sentence without parole. Dixon's involvement in this incident is still unknown. Last November, a hung jury declared a mistrial after not being able to reach a verdict. Dixon was released on bond and returned to Amarillo last month. News Channel 10 is sending a crew down to Lubbock, and we will bring you the latest on the trial tomorrow. We are learning more about the victims and the suspect after yesterday's tragedy at the Oklahoma State Homecoming Parade. A young woman is accused of driving through a crowd of spectators while under the influence of drugs or alcohol. 4 people, including a toddler, were killed and more than 40 were injured. Brian Webb has the latest from Stillwater.
Blurry footage shows the moment of impact. A Hyundai Elantra plowed through a crowd of people watching the OSU homecoming parade Saturday morning in Stillwater, Oklahoma. 25-year-old Stillwater resident Adacia Chambers was arrested immediately after the incident. She's been charged with driving under the influence. Her father says he does not believe Adacia is a drinker.
She's not a bad person. She's not an alcoholic. She doesn't drink, and she wasn't drinking, to my knowledge.
Graduate student Nikita Prabhakar, 2-year-old Nash Lucas, and 65-year-old retired professor Marvin Stone and his wife Bonnie were killed. Another 47 people were injured.
It's hard to imagine that you're coming to a game and all of a sudden it turns into a tragedy with people losing their loved ones and their lives are changed forever.
Police are now waiting on blood tests to determine if Chambers was under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Brian Webb for CBS News.
Chambers could make her first appearance in court Monday morning. An off-duty firefighter was seriously injured Saturday in a hit-and-run in Rhode Island. Steph Machado has more on how he was found by his own fire station.
Rescue crews arrived at a crash scene this morning to find one of their own off-duty co-workers trapped in his truck. Police say a driver in an SUV crashed into Matthew Gallant's pickup on Providence's Smithfield Avenue around 2 a.m., then ran off.
Utter cowardice.
Providence Fire Union President Paul Dowdy went to visit firefighter Gallant in the hospital this afternoon.
He's in critical condition. He has serious internal injuries and significant injuries to his lower extremities.
Dowdy says Gallant was rushed into surgery after rescuers pulled him from his truck using the jaws of life. Many of the rescuers know Gallant personally, some from his own fire station.
This one was all too close and all too personal to many of the rescuers there.
Dowdy says Gallant has been with the department for 2 years and comes from a family of firefighters well loved by his colleagues.
He's got a very dry sense of humor. He's the Providence Fire Department hipster.
While police investigate the hit and run, Dowdy says firefighters are still digesting the unsettling news.
It was touch and go last night, so we're glad that he's got through surgery, that his internal injuries have been taken care of up to this point. But it's still unsettling. Just goes to show you how fragile life is, and it can happen to anybody at any time.
Providence police identified a suspect. He showed up Saturday at the hospital with injuries. When police arrived to arrest him, he ran again. Well, there's a cold night ahead across the region with another frost possible. Meteorologist Mac Morris joins us now live in the Storm Track Center with the first look at the forecast. Hey there, Mac.
Yeah, that possibility does exist, Madison, mainly for the northeastern panhandle through the morning hours. Let's get a check on our current temperatures, though. We've actually warmed fairly nicely into the sorry about that. Let's go ahead and start out with the temperatures into the upper 60s and low 70s. It's been rather pleasant today across the region. Light winds and quiet weather. The winds out of the southeast about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Not even a cloud in the sky, but we do have that frost advisory for our northeastern counties. That includes Hemphill, Lipscomb, Ochiltree, Roberts, Gray, Wheeler, and even into Ellis County and parts of the eastern Oklahoma panhandle there. Beaver County. That goes from 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the morning. Now, a couple of headlines to talk about that frost advisory. Yes, obviously we're talking about that for the northeastern panhandle, but cool and pleasant for the next couple of days and actually warming up by the middle of the week. But then unsettled weather returns once again with more rain chances. I'll get back to those details in a couple minutes. I'll send it back to you.
All right, thanks, Mac. Lake Meredith is now the highest it's been in 14 years. The lake is up to over 62 feet. Crimois officials say these levels are usable for both recreation and as a water supply. 3 boat ramps are open and the lake is seeing more people taking advantage of the high water. The all-time high for Lake Meredith is just over 101 feet. The lake has not been that high since the 70s. Nearly 30 flood rescues were made overnight in Houston. Doug Miller shows us one rescue of a homeless man who picked the wrong place to fall asleep.
Somewhere under the skyline of downtown Houston, a man trapped by rising floodwaters, clinging to a tree, called from a cell phone for help. When firefighters arrived on the scene, they searched the swollen bayou, trudged along its flooded banks, knowing the man had told dispatchers he could see the downtown aquarium and a sign outside Bayou Place, and yet they couldn't find him.
He called 911 and dispatched the units, and we got down here, and it took us a while to locate him. And we finally heard him. We couldn't see him. We could hear him back in the trees.
How many people are with you?
The only help the firefighters had came from a voice in the trees. They'd called for a boat, but they weren't sure where to send it.
Rescue Boat 11 to Rescue 11 Alpha. You're going to need a boat in the water. You're going to be able to get him from the bridge side.
So they sent their boat on what was basically a search and rescue mission, looking through the branches rising above the dark waters of Buffalo Bayou.
Rescue Boat 11 to Rescue 11 DC5. And we're getting him in the boat now.
Moments later, the boat rounded a bend in the bayou, carrying a passenger who wore a red life vest, a stocking cap, and a smile.
He seemed fine. We brought him to the bank, and he had his stuff with him, and he took off.
He told firefighters he was a homeless newcomer to Houston who just picked the wrong night and the wrong place to fall asleep under a bridge.
A local family is hoping to be dubbed Texas Longhorns' #1 fans. News Channel 10's Angelica Brown joins us now live in the News Center to tell us about why this means so much to the Puentes family.
It's been an exciting few weeks for the Puentes family as they are one of 3 finalists to be inducted into the Longhorn Nation Hall of Fame. The contest put on by the Longhorn Network is looking for the team's most deserving and loyal UT fan. Audrey, Anthony, and their son Brandon say they've been big Longhorn fans since they were each kids, and winning this contest would be a huge honor. With hundreds who have entered the contest, the Puentes says they are lucky to make Final 3, but are hoping for the big win. On the News at 10, we'll tell you how you can make this family's dream a reality. Until then, reporting live in the News Center, Angelica Brown, News Channel 10.
Thanks, Angelica. Coming up, an unsettling